Hey, sixth grade students, those of you that are taking the sixth grade accelerated course under the Module 3, Rational Numbers, you do have some additional pieces that I want you to be able to do for your DBA. And that begins when you look at applying the number line, the advanced. So anytime you see advanced items on the in your module, you know that that's directed to you because you're taking the advanced course. But being able to just being able to understand natural numbers, whole numbers, integers, and rational numbers and where they're found on the number line. Also understanding that the number line can go in the vertical direction, positive and negative, and it of course goes in the horizontal directions, to the left negative and to the right positive. Also be aware of additive inverses, being able to add a negative value and knowing that pair will result in 0. So 5 plus a negative 5 will result in a 0. So I want you to be able to explain additive inverses in regard to money and temperature and distance. And then you have another lesson that deals with adding and subtracting rational numbers and multiplying and dividing rational numbers and integers. So when you're applying, when you're looking at adding and subtracting rational numbers advanced, you are going to have some different rules. So when you're adding and subtracting sign numbers, of how you can rewrite numbers. So negative, even like this example, -8 minus 5 could be written as -8 plus a -5. I also want you to think about how that's going to come about on the number line and your movement on the number line as well. You'll also have some rules. You can think of absolute value could be used to find the distance between two numbers on the number line. So be thinking about, how you can find the distance between -2 and +10. Well, there's different ways to do that, but thinking of absolute value is another way to do that as well. And that's an example right here using absolute value, finding the distance between -22 and 2. Multiplying rational numbers and dividing rational numbers. There are some rules involved with sign numbers, and I want you to be aware of the rules of that and patterns. And so you see here you've got some rules for multiplying. The same thing's going to show up for division of rational numbers, which involve integers. So definitely be able to talk about the rules for adding and subtracting and multiplying and dividing, and be able to compute different examples for me. Also want you to be able to discuss why you cannot divide by 0. And I want you to be able to convert a fraction to a decimal. So here's your fractions to decimals, so 3/8, how you would do that division. And that's something that you would have discussed in Module 1 when you're dealing with decimals and fractions. I keep scrolling. You can see here we're dividing by 0. I want you to be able to discuss why that cannot work. And then I want you to think about terminating decimals and repeating decimals and the difference in them. And how do you know if something's going to be a terminating decimal or if something's going to be a repeating decimal? So be able to know the difference in those two. And those are additional highlights and points that I would ask you to be able to do on your DBA for Module 3, rational numbers.